Welcome to a brand new episode of the Jampack Report today for October the 13th of 2020. And man, what a wild day it is. Of course, my name is Samuel Adams and this is a daily gaming news podcast meant to bring you the hottest news you need to know from around the industry, hosted on YouTube and podcast services around the world 5 days a week. It is your one-stop shop for everything you need to know. So if you enjoyed the show and you like what you see, hit that subscribe button and keep coming back for more. But late last night, the Burger King himself teased the PlayStation 5 UI and startup sound. What? An unlikely source, Burger King, is teasing an announcement with PlayStation for October the 15th with what very well may be the startup sound for the PlayStation 5. Burger King took to Twitter and shared a video featuring the Burger King opening up a big bag that shines a blue light in his mascotty face. In addition to the light, we hear a sound that was also featured in the PlayStation 5 reveal event with a UI tease that may be the sound we hear as we turn on Sony's next-gen console. While this could be a tease for Sneak King 2 for PlayStation 5 and the Burger King revealing the PlayStation 5's UI to the world, again, it's 2020, anything can happen. This is most likely some sort of contest where patrons of Burger King will be able to win a brand new PlayStation 5 by purchasing a Whopper or something similar. Taco Bell is currently running a promotion that gives fans a chance to win an Xbox Series X by simply purchasing a medium or large drink. The PlayStation 5 and PlayStation 5 Digital Edition will be released on November the 12th, 2020 for $499 and $399 respectively. And we still have not seen an in-depth look at its UI and menus in action. Sony did promise that the PlayStation 5's UI would be a complete overhaul from the PlayStation 4, and it cannot be much longer until it's fully revealed. This was wild. Late last night, all of a sudden, on my timeline pops Burger King with a bag with a blue light radiating from it, and suddenly you hear the PlayStation 5 startup sound, or at least probably the intro music for its user interface as your system is booting up. So, that's cool and all, which means there is some kind of bigger announcement coming, more than likely on October the 15th, but the main news here is that you are now going to be able to have a chance to win a PlayStation 5 from Burger King, assuming that's what this is going to be, which ultimately, why would a gaming company partner with a fast food company unless they were going to be giving some kind of bonus, some kind of entry to win the console, something PlayStation 5 related. Now, when it comes to putting these two opportunities head to head, personally, I would much rather go to Taco Bell than I would Burger King. This is not a fast food podcast, so I'll leave my own opinions out of it. But ultimately, it's fun to see companies begin to toy around like this on social media, even though it is just a corporate hellscape where money is exchanging hands, and we are trying to be convinced to buy one box or the other that ultimately do very similar things. Again, existential crisis to the side, if you are looking forward to seeing what the PlayStation 5 UI looks like, it looks like this week could be the week. Now moving on to some negative Xbox news, a class action lawsuit against drifting joysticks on Xbox controllers continues with amended complaint. The plaintiffs are seeking a jury trial, monetary compensation, and for Microsoft to inform customers of the issues. A new report from VGC has come out today with some updated information regarding the class action lawsuit against Microsoft and alleged joystick drifting issues. In the report, VGC claims that the ongoing lawsuit was amended on October the 2nd, 2020, with 7 new plaintiffs, a request for a jury trial, and an updated list of affected peripherals that now includes the Xbox Elite Controller Series 1 and Series 2. The class action lawsuit has been in effect for a while now, claiming that Microsoft's critically acclaimed Xbox controllers have a widespread joystick drifting issue, something that Nintendo has also come under fire for with concerns to their Joy-Con controllers for the Switch. The plaintiffs allege that a known hardware flaw with a component known as the potentiometer, the part that translates physical movement to software movement, and a grease-like lubricant causes unwanted movement even when the user is not actively touching the controller, which can grow worse over time. The lawsuit is not only seeking monetary compensation from Microsoft, but is also seeking a public injunction, which would require Microsoft to openly inform their existing customer base of the issues, as the lawsuit claims that the injunctive relief sought by plaintiffs will protect the public from Microsoft's deceitful marketing practices, which misrepresent and omit material facts. It is still not clear if the lawsuit will succeed or if the reported Joy-Con drifting issues with Xbox controllers are as serious as the lawsuit alleges, but it is interesting that the case continues to evolve over time, especially as Microsoft seeks to launch their next-gen consoles like the Xbox Series X and Series S. The new consoles also come with a brand new refreshed controller, which makes some important and distinct changes to the internals of the controller, possibly avoiding the alleged defect that affects previous controllers from Xbox. So have you experienced Joy-Con drifting on controllers before, and do you think this lawsuit has merit against Xbox controllers specifically? I will say that I have had Xbox controllers this generation that have had a drifting issue. It is not crippling. I can still use the controller, and as long as I'm actively playing the game, I don't really notice. But if I set my controller down to go get a drink, use the bathroom or something, I do come back and the screen is moving ever so slightly. It is a bit annoying. Now, it is not, again, just a loose joystick flopping around in a controller, but it is something that could be impactful to your overall gaming experience. Now, is it worth taking a company to court over? That's where I begin to kind of lose interest, because ultimately this is a $50 controller. Yes, it's a pain. Just contact Microsoft support. They'll probably hook you up with a new one. Now, the new SKU here is the Xbox Elite controllers. That's where it gets a little dicey, because you're paying for a premium product and it seems to still have the non-premium issues. That gets to be a little bit in the weeds. Again, all consumers have a right to do whatever they will with the product that they have. They can take somebody to court if they want. That's just the nature of the beast, and they can deal with that as they will. Ultimately, though, if it was me, I wouldn't really care enough to take a company to court. I would probably just contact customer support and see if I could get a new controller, which is probably what the majority of people have done. However, it is a problem. I have experienced it myself, and hopefully this next controller for the Xbox Series X and Series S takes those issues into consideration, because on the cusp of a new generation, the last thing you want is for legacy problems to be following you into the future. Now, some weird news came out yesterday. Rockstar has bought Ruffian Games and has rebranded it to Rockstar Dundee. The companies have been working together on unspecified titles for the last year. As spotted by The Gamer, the acquisition appears to have gone through as recently as October the 1st of this year per a Companies House listing noting the name change and shift of control. The two companies have been working together for at least the last year, according to a job listing for engineers to develop unspecified titles. Ruffian Games was established in 2009 with veterans from Climax, DMA Design, and Real-Time Worlds, including devs who had worked on the original Crackdown, Project Gotham Racing, Fable 2, and Grand Theft Auto. GamesIndustry.biz has reached out to Take-Two Interactive for further comment and details on the acquisition, but this is more so just an update. It looks like Ruffian Games is now making some Rockstar games. Who knows what they could be throwing together or really contributing to. In my mind, looking at a timeline of the way that Rockstar has released games over the last 15 years, it's clear that they are more so focusing on one project at a time. So I look at Ruffian Games, and this could be something where they work on a subsection of a major game that is coming out in the future. So right now, let's say that Grand Theft Auto 6 is in development. Ruffian Games could potentially be working on the online component of that. Again, that is not confirmed, or there is no statement saying that. This is just my example. So I think that they're probably going to be contributing to a larger project over the course of the next few years. But it would be cool to see Rockstar begin to branch out and do multiple projects simultaneously again, because not every project that a company has to make has to be a Red Dead Redemption 2. Not every project that a company makes has to be a Grand Theft Auto 5. I like companies to be able to experiment and try new things and branch out and make smaller games, make bigger games, do whatever makes you uncomfortable, because being uncomfortable pushes the boundaries of what is possible. That's why largely a lot of the Call of Duty games feel very stale, feel very repetitive over the years, because they are. It's a Call of Duty game. High-octane campaign, solid multiplayer, now battle royale, occasionally zombies. Those are the 4 components you need, and you can base them off of the previous game that had those components. But I like it when a company tries new stuff, and I like it to see the devs kind of experiment and do new things that they're passionate about. So maybe this could be a foray into that world. We will have to wait and see. But a new change is coming for Level 5. It is reportedly ending North American operations. "Knee no more," says Matthew Adler at IGN. Good job. Very good job. Good pun. Publisher and developer Level 5 appear to be ending operations in North America. There are currently no concrete plans to release any more games outside of Japan. As reported by GamesIndustry.biz, Level 5 International America and smaller spin-off studio Level 5 Abbey began laying off the majority of its employees sometime in the middle of 2019, although the exact number of employees is unknown. There is no indication as to why Level 5 is shutting down outside Japan, but employees from the Abbey location were given every indication that the studio would be ceasing operations. Only a couple employees remained to maintain day-to-day operations, while Level 5 focused its attention on the Japan office. Level 5 is known primarily for the Ni no Kuni series of games, as well as the popular Yokai Watch titles, both of which feature games as well as anime adaptations. Earlier this year, Level 5 confirmed the third mainline installment of the Ni no Kuni series is currently in development, with a tentative 2020 release in Japan, although no updates have been given as to the status of its development. Additionally, a mobile spin-off title of the Ni no Kuni series, titled Ni no Kuni Cross Worlds, was revealed recently during Tokyo Game Show. Gameplay shown during the presentation was later uploaded to YouTube along with English subtitles, and no official announcement was made indicating it would be coming to the statesides either. Netflix recently added a Ni no Kuni feature-length film to its catalog, stylized as Ni no Kuni, featuring a new cast of characters and an original story. Yokai Watch 4 was announced for Nintendo Switch in 2018 with a launch in Japan in late 2019, and there are currently no plans to release the sequel outside of Japan at this time, although it is unlikely we will see any of the recent developments change that scope. This impacts me none, but I know that a lot of people out there watch and enjoy Ni no Kuni content, Yokai Watch content, and Level 5 is a popular developer. I'm familiar with them. Again, the games aren't my thing. I'm not going to play them, but there are plenty of people out there that do enjoy what Level 5 brings to the table, so it's unfortunate that now it seems the only way you are going to be able to gain access to their titles is by importing them from overseas. Very expensive, very lengthy process, so definitely a bummer for those fans here in the States to see the North American operations begin to wind down. Hopefully there will be some kind of statement made as to why. It seems kind of weird to just kind of fade out, but that looks to be exactly what the company is doing. But let's wind up today's show on a bit of a lighter note, shall we? A new Outer Worlds game is reportedly in pre-production. Obsidian could be working on a sequel to their 2019 RPG. A senior video games industry analyst has claimed that a new entry in the Outer Worlds franchise is already in pre-production. Nico Partners' Daniel Ahmad claimed that last he heard, a new entry in the franchise is being explored. Ahmad did not elaborate on whether this new entry in the franchise would be a direct sequel to the first game or something more of a spin-off. This all follows shortly after Obsidian revealed that The Outer Worlds would be coming to Steam later this month. Over the weekend, Obsidian announced that The Outer Worlds would finally be launching on Steam on October the 23rd, nearly 1 year after the game originally launched on PC through the Epic Games Store in October of 2019. There is also no word on if Obsidian's status as an Xbox game studio would have a bearing on which platforms an Outer Worlds follow-up would appear on. Obsidian has been bringing The Outer Worlds to new platforms after the game originally launched on PC, PS4, and Xbox One in late 2019. A Switch port was delayed out of a March release earlier this year and finally released a few months later on June the 5th. Earlier this year in July, Obsidian announced a return to The Outer Worlds with a parallel Gorgon Dlc. The debut DLC expansion for the spacefaring RPG released last month on September the 8th, but only for PC, PS4, and Xbox One versions of the game. This seems like a no-brainer because of the success of The Outer Worlds. It was a very well-made game and people really enjoyed it. It was a callback to the RPGs that people remember from the early 2000s where you had, this kind of Fallout New Vegas vibe, it's like this big space exploration adventure. People really enjoyed it. Now, me as a non-RPG lover, I appreciate them. They're not really my thing, but I'll play one for a few hours and then I'll get bored and then I'll come back a few years later. Ultimately, The Outer Worlds is still one of the standouts of the course of the past few years. And so for it to be getting a sequel is some good news and pretty much, again, the logical next step. Of course, the big question here is Obsidian is an Xbox Game Studios family member. Will it just be on Xbox Series X and S and PC? It could. That would be massive, and I think that's kind of the route that Microsoft is going. And Outer Worlds 2 would be one of the biggest third-party games, assuming that it was released on all platforms. Now you have this high likelihood that it could just be locked to the Xbox consoles as well as the PC. So we'll see what the route is. Of course, I'm assuming that Phil Spencer and the team at Xbox are probably going to take a similar route that they are taking with Bethesda, where the games that are released on multiple platforms will be handled on a case-by-case basis. But again, I would expect the worst and hope for the best, or depending on if you're a hardcore Xbox fan, expect the best and hope for the worst. But ultimately, I think this is probably going to end up being an Xbox exclusive. We'll see what happens, but again, just my 2 cents. However, that rounds out today's episode of the Jampack Report. If you enjoyed today's show, drop me a like down below and let me know what you think about everything we talked about here today, but specifically, would you be willing to choke down a Whopper, or maybe some old French fries, or perhaps a flat Diet Coke? I have a bias against Burger King to get a PlayStation 5. Would love to hear your thoughts down in the comments section, but until tomorrow, you guys have a fantastic rest of your day. I'll talk to you soon, and peace.